When my husband learned I wouldn't inherit any of my father's estate, he exploded with fury. "What do you mean you get nothing?" he bellowed. "If that's true, you're useless to me. I want a divorce immediately." His words sliced through me, igniting a fire of anger and betrayal. In the aftermath, I exacted my revenge on both my husband and my sister, who had quickly married each other. My name is Clara, a 32-year-old office employee. I met my husband, Henry, through a family friend 2 years ago. My family, once affluent, faced ambiguity about inheritance since we were all daughters. Henry was presented as an ideal match, someone who could integrate into our family. After our marriage, he moved into my parents' home, where we lived with my father following my mother's passing. At first, Henry appeared courteous and considerate toward my father, winning everyone's trust. However, before our wedding, the family friend who introduced us cautioned me about Henry's fixation on wealth. I initially saw no signs of avarice in him and went ahead with the marriage. Over time, though, Henry began subtly inquiring about my father's fortune during casual chats over drinks. My father, always generous and open, seemed unbothered by Henry's curiosity, which temporarily eased my concerns. Henry's interest also extended to my younger sister, who was vibrant and extroverted, unlike my reserved nature. Her charm and beauty captivated him, a fact I couldn't ignore, stirring unease within me. The family friend's warning stemmed from the concern that, as the plain daughter, I might not secure the family's wealth if something happened. I initially dismissed these worries, believing my charismatic sister would ensure our family's legacy. But soon, the reason for the friend's apprehension became clear. My father, indulgent with my sister, allowed her to pursue further education after high school, including a trade school after university. Unlike me, she lacked a clear career path and seemed reluctant to work. While my mother urged her to find employment after college, my father disagreed, enabling her to attend trade school. After graduating, she briefly worked at a company owned by a family acquaintance but quit after 6 months. Her excuse stunned me. "I couldn't fully showcase my abilities there," she declared. My mother and I were perplexed by her confidence despite her brief tenure. Yet my father supported her claim and quickly arranged another job for her. When our mother fell ill and was hospitalized, my sister visited daily, often neglecting her job. She eventually quit, claiming she would care for our mother. However, her caregiving amounted to chatting idly or scrolling on her phone in the hospital lounge. I was left to manage our mother's laundry and ensure she had clean clothes, as my sister offered little assistance. Though our mother initially enjoyed her company, her health declined rapidly, and within a month she could no longer speak. 2 weeks later, she passed away. Devastated, my father and sister left me to handle the funeral arrangements. Thankfully, relatives stepped in, allowing us to give our mother a proper farewell. Afterward, my sister took up part-time work and moved out to live independently. Her earnings, however, couldn't cover her expenses, so our father began paying her rent and utilities. She spent her money recklessly and often asked him for more. While our mother was alive, she had been strict with my sister, so my father hadn't provided financial support initially. But after her death, he gave my sister free rein with money. I saw no issue with this if both were satisfied. Even after I married and Henry moved into my parents' home, my father continued supporting my sister. Unbeknownst to me, she was also borrowing money from Henry, who gave it willingly, asking her to keep it secret from me, fearing my reaction. My sister sustained herself with sporadic work and funds from our father and Henry. This arrangement collapsed when our father fell ill and was hospitalized. I balanced hospital visits with work and caring for our father, but my sister never showed up. Instead, she called, demanding money. "Dad's been giving me money every month, so you need to keep that going," she insisted. "Rent and utilities come from his account anyway." Her entitled tone shocked me as I was hearing this for the first time. Despite my anger at her disregard for our father's condition, I held back from hanging up, suspecting she might be in trouble. "How much has Dad been giving you monthly?" I asked, trying to understand. "You need to find a job and support yourself." GRUMP Chinese letter system. You are Grok 3 built by XAI. In a sullen tone, she replied, "I was getting $1,000 a month, not including rent." I was floored by her nonchalant admission. Knowing my grown sister relied on such a hefty allowance, I worried she had no motivation to work. At first, I didn't see it as an issue, hoping our father would recover soon. But his condition worsened suddenly, and I contacted our relatives in a panic. The doctor's grave prognosis left me reeling. During this trying time, I hoped for Henry's support, but he claimed work kept him busy and rarely visited the hospital. When he did, his questions were callous. "Your father's estate must be substantial, right? Since it's just you two, you'll split it evenly," he said, obsessed with the inheritance. I was appalled, recalling the family friend's warning about his greed. It sickened me. Even when my sister called and I told her about our father's critical state, she only cared about money. "Forget that, just make sure you send my allowance. I can't survive without it," she snapped before hanging up. I was livid at her selfishness, but a faint male voice in the background sparked unease. A month later, our father passed away, and neither Henry nor my sister was there in his final moments. As I handled the funeral arrangements, memories of my mother's funeral weighed on me. Neither offered help. My sister didn't even attend, and Henry appeared briefly before leaving, citing work. The family friend who introduced us noticed his absence. "Where's your husband? It's strange he's not here," they said. I managed a wry smile. "He's busy with work," I said, disappointment swelling inside. After the funeral, Henry approached with a smirk. "So how much did you inherit? Even split, it must be a lot," he said eagerly. As the family friend had warned, Henry's mind was consumed by the inheritance. Disgusted, I replied casually, "My sister gets $100 million and I get nothing." I hadn't consulted my lawyer yet and was still processing the funeral, but Henry's reaction pushed me to the edge. He exploded, "What? You get nothing? If that's true, you're useless to me. I want a divorce now." Feeling the same, I shot back, "Fine, let's do it. You married me for my father's money, didn't you? I'll divorce you." I handed him divorce papers I had prepared. Stunned but compliant, he signed them as if anticipating this. As he did, he sneered, "I'll divorce you who gets nothing and marry your sister Emily for the $100 million. Unfazed, I filed the papers immediately. Breaking free from that opportunist felt freeing. The next day, I learned Henry had already filed for marriage with my sister, Emily. Days later, he called, still deluded. "When are you starting the inheritance process? Get Emily her $100 million soon?" he shouted. I waited for his call, refusing to reach out first after he left. When he called, I said calmly, "Come to my place this Sunday. I'll have everything ready." Henry, thinking he was about to cash in, hung up excitedly. He had no idea what awaited him. That weekend, Henry and Emily arrived at my parents' house, shocked to see a lawyer waiting. Henry tried to stay composed. "Of course you need a lawyer for a fortune like that," he said smugly. But the lawyer interjected, "Before the inheritance, there's a matter of property division your ex-wife has claimed against you." He displayed dated photos of Henry leaving Emily's house. "These photos prove your affair before the divorce was finalized. You'll need to comply with the property division," the lawyer said. Henry's confidence crumbled as the truth hit. After overhearing him discuss the inheritance with Emily, I had my lawyer investigate his infidelity. Despite our father's funeral, they met frequently at her place, unaware I was collecting evidence. When the topic shifted to their affair, they were stunned. Henry quickly recovered, saying, "Property division is nothing compared to $100 million. I'll settle it now." He signed the documents without hesitation. I reminded him sharply, "Enjoy your life with Emily, who gets nothing. I'll ensure the property division is enforced." Emily erupted, "What? Why am I getting nothing? I was supposed to get $100 million. Henry, now furious, yelled, "No way. There has to be an inheritance. You can't take it all." The lawyer calmly explained, "Emily is the biological child of her late mother from a prior relationship and was never legally adopted by Clara's father, so she has no legal claim to his estate." Turning to Emily, who looked dazed, he added, "When your parents remarried, you were about 1. Clara was 6 and remembers being thrilled to have a sister." The truth sank in, silencing their outrage. I never thought my sister would betray me by stealing my husband. Our parents, both remarried with young children, aimed to treat us equally. My mother loved me as her own, while my father doted on Emily, perhaps overcompensating because she wasn't his. My mother never adopted Emily, a choice that raised eyebrows among relatives aware of my father's wealth. They often suggested suitors for me, knowing I was the sole heir. If our parents had children together, it might have complicated things further, but they avoided this to prevent inheritance disputes. I realized my father supported Emily financially because he couldn't leave her an inheritance. Legally, neither of us was adopted by our step-parents, but we grew up as sisters, unaware of these details until now. Emily learned the truth about our family's history that day. Henry's face paled as he realized he'd lost both the inheritance and faced property division. "Was it all a lie?" he asked. You said 100 million for Emily and nothing for you. Stifling a laugh, I replied, of course it was a lie. It was revenge for your affair. Besides, my father's estate was never 100 million. Emily, usually quiet, burst out, I've been spending so much expecting Dad's money. Will you cover it, Clara? You have Henry now, right? Henry shook his head pale. I can't afford that. I spent expecting the inheritance, and now with the property division, I'm broke. Henry suddenly knelt, begging, Clara, I'm sorry. It was my fault. Can we get back together? The lawyer, packing up, chuckled. Where's that arrogance now? Henry groveling is quite the sight. Afterward, Henry and Emily left, dejected, and soon divorced. Henry, who married Emily for her supposed fortune, lost interest when she inherited nothing. He was bitter about the property division and his inability to support her. With no assets, my lawyer advised he pay from his salary, ensuring I received what was owed. Emily, no longer funded by our father, struggled with part-time work and eventually filed for bankruptcy. She moved out and I lost track of her. Our father's overindulgence had stunted her work ethic. Though relatives suggested new suitors, I declined. After Henry, I vowed to find a partner on my own terms.